this is our Kia's Kitchen here today. We are going to make a video about how to make nuts bread. So a bread that have no flour basically, and then in this recipe what we are going to do is we're not going to add an eggs to the bread as well, because mostly when people are making nuts bread, what they do is they do add eggs or any other binder to help bind the bread together. But in this recipe, what we are going to do is we are going to be replacing eggs with our butternut squash here that we've already cooked and it's ready. And then we are not going to add a lot of ingredients to the recipe, because this is recipe is for someone who have a lot of food intolerances. So it's just a simple recipe, especially for people who wants to go on bread-free breakfast and all other things. And then if you have food allergies or maybe intolerances to so many other things, during the preparation we'll be telling you what is what, and then why we are using it. So we are just going to go straight into the recipe, and I'll show you what we have here for the nuts bread that we are going to make. So we've got here our nuts, and this is almond and then cashew nuts. So what we did with these nuts is because we are making it for someone who have really like allergies and then food intolerances, so we soak these nuts in water for 8 hours, at least 8 hours. And then what that happens is it takes away all the mold or any other dirt that it will be in the nuts, because sometimes we know some nuts have been stored for a long time before coming to the shops or before coming to our kitchen shelves. So to be sure of what we are giving to that person or what he is going to be eating, we make sure that we soak these nuts in water for 8 hours. And this is dates. So in this recipe, some people do add sugar, honey, anything of your choice that you want to add to it to make it sweet. But we are not going to use sugar or anything like honey. We are going to replace all that with dates. So these are natural dates, and then we equally soak these dates in water for 8 hours to make sure that all dirt and then mold around them are being taken off. So this is what we are going to use as our sweetener for our bread. And we have banana here just to give it flavor. This is an optional. If you want to use banana, you can use banana, but if you don't want to add banana, that's still okay. It serves as a binder, and it can also serve as like a flavor, something to give to your bread. So we have our butternut squash here already cooked, ready to use. And this is what we are going to use as our egg replacer for our binder. And then I think we have coconut oil. This is organic pressed coconut oil. We have like 5 spoons here ready to use as well. And we have flax seeds and then cinnamon powder here to mix to our recipe. So some of them are optional, like flax seeds and then cinnamon powder, for example. You can replace it with what you want, maybe whatever you want to add to it. But the main ingredients is just the nuts. And then I think if you don't use eggs, you use your butternut squash. So we are just going to go straight into our preparation. So what we are going to do now is we've already soaked these 8 hours, washed, and they are ready to use. So after washing, what we did again is to put them back in the oven, slow heat to dry them up. And these have been drying for the past like 2 hours in an oven in a very low like 80 degrees for 2 hours, and they are already dried now and ready to use. So we are going to use it, grind them in our grinder to get our flour for our bread. Our nuts have been grinding for some while now, and this is how it came out too. So we've got like kind of like a flour, not too much like a paste. So this is ready to be used. So the next step is we're going to start with our banana. So we peel our banana, put it in our mixing bowl. This process can be, you can use like a food processor from this process if you have a food processor. I sometimes don't want to use food processor for making this bread because I don't want it too smooth. I don't want the whole paste to be like butter. Sometimes I want to, to feel a bit of like banana in it, or maybe some chewy bits in it. So I don't use, sometimes I do use food processor, but sometimes I don't. But in today's recipe, we are not going to use a food processor. So what we are doing at the moment is we are just mashing our banana. So we add our dates to the banana. Give it a bit of a mash. These dates have been soaked, so they are already soft and ready to use. So I'll try to mash them all together. So it's the dates that we are using as our sweetener. So these dates is going to give it really sweet taste. So instead of adding sugar and all other things, we decide to use this. So we add our butternut squash. We save the water for the last minute in case we need to add a bit of liquid to our recipe, because we don't want the recipe to be running. So we just try to mix it very well. Yeah. So now what we are going to do is I'm going to add the nuts into what we've been mashing so far. So we've got our nuts here. And now what I need to do is to make sure that all these ingredients are well mixed together. So I'm going to take the masher out and then use a mixer to mix it up to get a very nice good paste. Just bring everything off. So I've got my wood mister here. I'll try to mix everything together. I've got my flaxseeds and cinnamon powder here too. We can just add it all together. And then I've got my coconut oil here too. Just add it together and give it a good mix. I think it's a bit thick, so what I'll do is I'll add just a little bit of our butternut squash water, the water we got from boiling our butternut squash. A little bit more. Yeah, I think that will be okay now. Right, I think this is well done. And what we are going to do now is we will need to scoop our mixture into our baking bowl. So we've got our baking bowl here that we are going to be using, and then we've got a parchment paper here. What the parchment paper does is it helps your bread not to stick in the pan. So I'll advise that if you are baking a nuts bread, especially if you are not using eggs as binder, it's advisable to use a parchment paper because it do help, especially not when you are taking it out, so that it won't be stuck in your pan. So scoop it and put it in our baking pan. Just trying to get everything off the pan. So we've got our mixture ready and in our pan, just spreading it evenly. Try to get it nicely spread in your pan, so that when it's out, we have a very beautiful loaf. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to bake this in the oven for like 30 to 45 minutes in 200 degrees. And then when our bread is all baked and ready, we'll show you the final bread to show you what we've got. So this is the final bake, and that's our nut bread that we started making. So we are going to take it out from the pan for you to see how it looks like. You can see how beautifully it is cooked, very nicely. It's a little bit bent on the top, but which is still okay. So we've got our bread loaf here made from nuts. Basically it's just nuts and then the butternut squash that we add, and then our banana. So this, you can replace this for bread, especially for someone who doesn't eat grains. So I've got one of my kids who doesn't eat grains, and he's on a GAPS diet, and with the GAPS diet he eats a lot of nuts. So this could be like a lunchbox idea, or for breakfast, as a snack, or just something to put in your bag to be able to grab whenever you need a quick something to eat. So we're going to cut a little bit for you to see how it looks like. So let me cut it from here. Yep. So when you are cutting, you just have to be careful because it might break. It might break because of it being nuts, and then there's no eggs in it as well, because we didn't add eggs, because we have intolerances to eggs, so we didn't add eggs. But you can see how beautifully it is cooked, and when you put it in the fridge, it helps to make it like firm as well. So we just finished cooking, then this is still fresh. That's why you can see it breaking, but when it goes into the fridge and you take it out, it's all perfect to take to school. So we will be making the same bread with seeds, because I know some schools don't allow nuts in the school. So if you have someone who is like on grains-free diet that you want to make like sandwiches or like lunchbox options that you want, and then nuts are not allowed in the school, you can equally make this same bread with seeds. And I think our next recipe will be like seeds bread, for you to see how we make it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any concerns, any question, or if you want us to know more about what it is about, you just leave us a comment below, and we'll be sure to read your comments and then get back to you. Thank you.